Welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are joining me from. I am Carol C. Miller, your positive life strategist, peace activator, and global hugger, coming to you with another episode of Embrace Your Life, where we're here to heighten celebrations and lessen sorrows through a positive focus. Let me know in comments where you're joining me from. And as you can tell, I have a guest with me that I will introduce in a moment. He joins me once a month to help talk about what's stressing us out and how to release it completely, or at the very least lessen its hold on us when we inquire about what is stressing us out. So before we get started, in case you're new to my work, I do like to say a couple of things up front. One is I'm not an absolutist. Not a big fan of the word always or never. There are 7 billion people on this planet. I cannot begin to say what is right for 7 billion people. So I work on the majority. 0 being always negative, 100 being always positive. And my personal work and the work I do with clients is to stay in the 80 to 100% range of always positive, always kind, loving, compassionate, and peaceful. Fear visits me, frustration, stress visits me that we'll discuss today. All of those things visit me, but because of my practices, and one of them is one of the things we'll be doing here today, I don't stay in that space for as long as I might have in the past. It is a practice. Maybe you're somebody who can do it one time and it's now your new habit, but I assume the majority of us need to practice these different steps to go forward. The second thing is I'm a coach. I love supporting people in living their best life, whatever that looks like. I am not a therapist, nor am I a counselor. And sometimes to live your best life, that kind of therapy and counseling helps you move forward. Excuse me. I just know that you're worthy of living your best life. So whether it's a coach, a counselor, um, Paul here is a coach too and uses this work that we'll be discussing today a lot for his work. But know that you're worthy of living that best life. So I encourage you to find that support system for you to do so. And now I'm going to introduce Paul Zavagno, I've known Paul for probably a decade now, if not a decade, close to
Yeah.
it or longer. It's been a long time. We've been doing these monthly gatherings together, first in person in Chicago, then by a phone call, and now we're doing them on Facebook Lives to be able to share it with a little bit more people around the world. So, again, Paul is in the burbs of Chicago. I am back in Chicago. I was in the panhandle for a month. So I have exchanged my sand for snow. Which I like to call glitter. Glitter is just a little happier than snow for me personally. But Paul, welcome. Thank you as always for joining and let us know about the work. Let us know about you and then the work and Byron Katie and what you would like to discuss today.
Well, thank you, Carol. Always a pleasure to be here and to be reminded to embrace my life. And all of you can embrace your life. Embrace your life is such a wonderful phrase because it tells us to embrace what is happening right now in our lives, regardless of what that
Yeah.
is. And that's a lot of what the work is about. This is the work of Byron Katie. And her seminal book that really describes the work is called Loving What Is. And that's another way of saying embrace your life. So the work is really a process of inquiry. It's first identifying what thoughts we're having that are causing stress, like it's too cold outside, or if I go somewhere, I'm going to get COVID, or they are being mean to me, or they don't care about me. All those are thoughts that when we believe them, we suffer or we experience some dislocation of our peace. And the work is about how to get reconnected to that peace, get reconnected to an innate aspect of our being that is there, but we lose track of it from time to time. And when we do, that's a signal that we're believing something, typically something stressful. So we identify that and then we inquire into its truthfulness and its impact in our life. So the method of doing inquiry is to first identify the thought like, they don't care about me. And we might have this about a particular person. We might have this about a particular government or particular political party or a business or something or someone that we think doesn't care about us. When we're believing that thought, what is going to happen? So we take that thought, they don't care about me, and we ask 4 questions of ourselves concerning that thought. Question number 1, is it true? Big question. It's a yes or no question, but in the moment, just notice that when you're in the throes of they don't care about me and you're believing that, it's not even a question of if it's true or not. You're just reacting to the thought as if it is. So, question number 1 kind of wakes us up to that. Is it true? It might very well be. Yeah, for me right now, I believe they don't care about me. So, that's a yes. Question number 2, can I absolutely know that, in this case, they don't care about me? It's a similar question, but it's asking me to look again a little bit deeper. Like, I know I believe they don't care about me. I know it seems like they don't care about me. I know the way they're acting looks like they don't care about me, but can I absolutely know that they don't care about me? And again, the answer may be yes, because they just said, Paul, we don't care about you. And even then, I might not actually know, but I might have more evidence. So it might be a yes, but it might also be a no. Those first 2 questions are looking at how true is that thought I'm believing. Now, question 3 is where we really open up. How do we react? What happens to me when I believe they don't care about me? Wow. I feel hurt. I feel a lot of separation from them. I also feel some anger at them. I notice my breathing changes. Physiologically, my heart rate goes up. I feel tension. I'm kind of in a fight mode, and I want to get them. And I also have a mental reaction. I see all the pictures of them doing things, saying things, all this proof I have that they don't care about me. And I see past images of them. And I even imagine a future where they're going to not care about me and I'm going to be left alone and abandoned and hurt in the future as well. And all of that can happen instantaneously. Often in life, we don't even notice that. We just notice our reaction. We're upset, we're angry, we're yelling at them, but we don't know where it came from. The work helps us unpack that. So that's question number 3. And that could be, if you're doing this on your own, that could take you 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes to totally slow down and see the way you react emotionally, physically, spiritually, how you react, how you treat them, how you treat yourself. Like one aspect I notice when I believe they don't care about me, the way I treat myself is as a victim of them, as a powerless victim of them. They don't care about me, and that changes how I am. It changes how I value myself. Now we come to question. Who would I be? What would my identity be if I didn't believe that in the same situation? And they might be doing and saying the same things, walking away from me, ignoring me, even saying, Paul, we don't care about you. But who would I be in the face of that without this belief? I might be curious. Why are they saying these things? What's going on with them? I might notice that actually, in that moment in time, I'm actually okay. I'm warm. I'm fed. I'm breathing. I'm not being attacked in any way, except in my brain. But in that moment in time, without that thought, I'm actually fine. I'm sitting in my chair. I'm remembering an incident with them, but I'm actually okay sitting in my room, in front of my computer, in my chair. I'm okay. So those are the four questions of inquiry. The next step in inquiry is what we call the turnarounds, where we take the original statement, they don't care about me, and we look for opposites. So one opposite is we take what we're accusing them of and we put it on ourselves. They don't care about me becomes I don't care about me. Oh, yeah. I can see in that moment an example of that is how I devalue myself and think I'm a victim and think I'm powerless. I don't care about me much when I'm doing that. Another opposite is to flip it around from in the other direction. They don't care about me. I don't care about them. Hmm. So I go back into that same situation and I notice how I really don't. I'm yelling at them. I'm judgmental. I accuse them of things in the past, present, and the future. I really notice that actually I don't care a lot about what might be going on with them right now. What is upsetting them? I'm not interested. In that moment, when I'm believing they don't care about me, all I want is to be relieved of the suffering I'm feeling. So I'm actually not caring about them at all in that moment. The third turnaround we look for is the turnaround to the exact opposite. We kind of reverse or look for the exact mirror opposite of the original statement. They don't care about me. They do care about me. Oof, that's a hard one to find especially when I'm thinking they don't care about me. But if I look, I'll notice a couple of things. They're talking to me, even though it's yelling. They are talking to me. They care enough about me to express themselves to me and express that they're suffering and that they're mad about something. And it doesn't feel good to hear that, but they're caring enough about me to tell me what's going on with them. I also notice that what they're really saying there is they're missing me. They're actually angry because they haven't talked to me for a while and they haven't heard from me in a while. And underneath that complaint that they're giving me is caring, is wanting to connect with me. So those are examples that I might find in those circumstances. And what I've been looking at really closely recently is how underneath my complaints about them or any of my stressful thoughts, there's often this underlying fear. What is the fear that I have underneath they don't care about me? And when I really look deeply, it's a fear of being rejected, being abandoned, being left alone. And underneath that, there's even a fear of there's something wrong with me. I'm not okay. And that somehow they're not caring about me is revealing this. And that's my underlying fear. And fear is something that I've been really exploring a lot recently and looking at how it underlines all these stressful thoughts and how, on the one hand, we can get to a place where we can see kind of ultimately there is nothing real to fear, that I really am okay and there isn't anything wrong with me and I am valuable, et cetera, et cetera. But I can't shortcut my way to that place. Often, my way to that place is to acknowledge the fear exists and to actually, in your words, embrace the fear, embrace the life, your life, but embrace your fear. Like what I found in the work is, for example, in this work that I just shared with you this morning about they don't care about me, it seems like that's a problem or a fear, if you will. But in my work going through it, I discover something valuable. Oh, that's just the insecure Paul feeling like there's something wrong with him again. And so I'm learning, oh, there really isn't anything wrong with me. But I have to learn to experience that. And the way I learn to experience that is actually by embracing or inquiring into my fear of it. I can't just pretend like I'm going to be Pollyannish and just pretend I'm okay when I'm really being fearful.
Yeah.
And what I love about the work is it says, no, 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 that fear thing we do, it's pretty human. It's pretty normal. It's actually okay. It actually is the path to peace. And so we embrace that by identifying what the fear is. I'm afraid that I'll be abandoned. I'm afraid that I'll be all alone. And then inquiring into that, I'll be left all alone. Is that true? And we can then re engage with the truth that's underneath that fear.
And then can't you even, I was just thinking of some other things with Katie as far as like you mentioned them saying that they don't care for you and going into that and realizing that they want more of your time and that they're feeling left out and things. How is the work when it's they truly don't care about you? Like that is their truth, their fact. And so working through that to release that being an issue for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It particularly if because in a in a kind of ultimate spiritual sense, I believe they actually do care about
Yeah.
me. But in their human form, in the way they're behaving, they may not want to spend time with me, for example. They may say, you know, we don't want you to be part of our experience anymore.
Right.
Leave us alone, be out of our life. And that does happen from time to time. It happens in partnerships. I'm divorced.
Mhm.
My ex said, no, I don't want to live with you anymore. We're done. I'm done with this little thing we're doing here. Or it may happen with a friendship. It may happen with a job when they say, no, we don't need your services anymore, or we don't want them anymore. So it can help with that because that in it, there's nothing actually wrong in and of itself with somebody not being in your life anymore,
Right.
right? It's what you think that might mean that makes you fear it or suffer as a result of it. So, for example, my ex and I got divorced very peacefully because we did our work. Um, and we understood we're at a place now where, without recrimination, without blame, without suffering, we could say, I love you and it's time to end this marriage. And we're still good friends. We talk all the time and we're not married and it's fine. So it could be that what they're saying is, we don't want to be in your life
Right.
anymore. And the work could help me find peace with that. What is it that I fear about that? Why would, because the reality is, if you look at your life, you look at how things are on this planet, people come and they go, and we come and we go. And ultimately, we're here for a while as human beings, and then we're not. And so is everybody else. So ultimately, you're not going to be with the people that are in your life forever. It's not going to happen. It's going to end. Things start, things end, things have a life. And is that okay? It it is the way it is. So if we're talking about loving what is, we're talking about embracing your life, same thing. We're talking about how do you do that with integrity and with peace. You know, there is a way to stay in a marriage and continue to be at war. And there is a way to divorce and to continue to be at war. There's a way to stay in a marriage and be at peace, and there's a way to end a marriage and be at peace. So it's not about staying or ending
Right
it,
or wrong. Yeah.
right or wrong. It's not a moral thing. It's how do you do that with peace? And if you do your work, if you identify what are your judgments of them, what are your judgments about yourself, what do you fear about it, and you investigate, are those things true? Can you really know that? How do you react? Who would you be without that? And you turn it around and you get some clarity, you find some peace, then most frequently you kind of know what to do. It's a natural thing. Oh, it's time to say goodbye. Or it's time to repair this. There's something going on here that's fixable and we can work on it. And we can do that without blame, recrimination, self doubt, whatever. So that's how the work can help with that.
And I was just thinking, because again, I've known Paul for so long. For me, it's helpful to have somebody do the work with you to dig a little bit deeper. Because when you mentioned like your first question is, and then you come up with the fact what's like now I'm feeling abandoned, and like where you figure out which stressful thought it is to inquire upon. Because it could be one or it could be 10 layers deep to get to the root cause of what's stressing you out. And you can go to thework.com, correct? And
Yeah,
there's,
yeah, that's
um,
Katie's website, thework.com. And from there, if you look under resources, you can find people like myself that are in your area that speak your language, that maybe you've had some experiences with the particular topics or issues you're dealing with, children, partners, work, money, health. We've all
yeah,
we've all had done our work on different things, and there are a lot that you can find individual people. Now, that being said, the work is something you can do on your own. And if you go on thework.com, you can find worksheets that help you identify the thoughts that are causing stress in your life. So, one real simple one, you don't even really need a worksheet for this one, is the I complain about worksheet. And you do this on a blank sheet of paper. You just take paper and pencil or pen and write all the people and things in your life that you complain about. I complain about Joe because he doesn't call me back. I complain about the drivers because they don't use their turn signal. I complain, and you just list every complaint you have. I complain about my son because he doesn't return my texts. I complain about them because they don't care about me. I complain about the government because I complain about the world because whatever it is, you write down all those complaints. Every complaint is a stressful thought. It's a thought about something that is happening that you don't think should be happening, but it's happening. You know, I complain about the drivers because they don't use their turn signal.
that's legitimate, Paul.
Yeah, they all are legitimate,
I
right?
know.
They are legitimate complaints, and then we take the second part of that complaint, the drivers don't use their turn signals. That identifies the stressful thought. I am angry at the drivers because we don't even really need that. We know we're angry. We know we're frustrated, annoyed, whatever it is. We just write down the drivers don't use their turn signals. It's not a huge stressful thought, but it doesn't matter if it's huge or if it's minor. We can discover something in it. The drivers don't use their turn signals. Is that true? Yes or no? Can I absolutely know? Well, that guy's not using it. I don't see it. Yes, yes. How do I react? I'm frustrated. I slam on my brakes. I use my hand signals toward him. I swear in the car. I remember all the other drivers that ever did that before, and I call them all idiots. I get frustrated. I forget where I'm going. A lot happens for me when that happens. Who would I be without that thought? Like, what if they're not? It's not saying they're using their turn signals. They're still not using them, but I'm not complaining about it. I'm not believing they should be using them when they're not. Because I notice on this planet, a lot of people don't use turn signals. Who'd I be without the thought that they should be using them? Well, I notice he's turning without a turn signal, and he's turning. Thank God, because he's going the other way. And I'm appreciative that he's turning and I can go on without him. He's not using his turn signal. I'm not using my turn signal. Wait a minute. I'm not turning. What does that mean? I may have to think about that metaphorically. Where am I not signaling to myself that I should be turning? Oh, I'm getting upset with this driver that I don't even know. I have no knowledge of what's going on in his life or why he might be forgetting and what stress he's under. I'm not caring about that at all. I have no empathy for that. I'm not noticing that I'm getting upset in my own car and taking care of my own upset. That might be signaling the way I could signal to myself, oh, there's a stressful thought, work on it, instead of yelling at him. So sometimes it's metaphoric. There's another useful tool called a judge your neighbor worksheet. And this is exactly what it sounds like. We're always told by a lot of spiritual teachers, do not judge. Don't judge your neighbor. Don't judge your neighbor. If you judge, you shall be judged that way. And a lot of spiritual teachers, a lot of religions have taught that. And what do? In real life, what we do is we judge all the time. We judge the guy that's driving. We judge the person that's walking down the street, the other person in the grocery store. We judge the people we live with, we work with, our friends, our family. We judge everyone.
And we positive, I mean, judge is actually not even a negative, which is used a lot as a negative, but we judge
Often,
people positively as well.
and
So,
negatively,
yeah.
and we often have no idea really and no real ability to judge someone else. We don't know what's going on with them, but we do it. So in the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, you identify one person who is, as the worksheet says, reliably stressful. They show up regularly in your life and they cause stress, apparently. And that might be a person you live with. That's a good place to look. A person you work with, somebody you encounter on a fairly frequent basis, and you write a worksheet about them in a particular situation. And what gives you is like, I'm angry at Joe because he didn't call me back. I want Joe to be responsible. I need Joe to respect me. Joe should listen to me and keep his appointments with me. Joe is an idiot and selfish, and I don't ever want to be disappointed in Joe again. And I write this whole worksheet out, and I end up with about 10, 12, maybe 20 different judgments about Joe. That comprises what we call our story of Joe. It's the Joe that we meet is often our story of Joe, not the real Joe, who is not calling us back. So that would give us a bunch of thoughts that we could then take to inquiry. We use then yet another worksheet called a one belief at a time worksheet. All of these are available on thework.com for free. Download them, and you can do the work yourself. You can identify your own thoughts. You can question your own thoughts. You can turn it around. Now, sometimes in the beginning, you might need some coaching support, and it can be helpful to find a teacher or a coach to kind of help you through it. But it's really not necessary. The perspective of Katie, of myself, of the work is everybody has the wisdom that they need. Everybody already has everything they need. They're actually okay right now. They just don't know it yet. And the work is a way to uncover and release, if you will, the stuff that's getting in the way of our awareness of that. Because even though we have the wisdom we need, even though we are okay in this moment, we may not be aware of that. We may not have access to our wisdom. So in doing the work, like every time you ask a question, every time you answer a question, every time you find a turnaround, find an example, every time you identify a thought, you're accessing that wisdom within. So you don't really have to go through this process in every single stressful thought you've ever had in your life. It may seem like that in the beginning, but actually, as you just start taking on one, the one that's in front of you right now, it's this person that's stressing me out. It's this situation. I'm angry at the weather because it's too damn cold. Is that true? It's too damn cold. And take it through the process. We're dealing with that stress, but we're also awakening that wisdom from within. Over time, we're picking off one, two, three, four different stressful situations that can help in our life, just reducing stress generally. But we're also learning to listen to that part of ourselves that already knows all of this. Because what I found is when I get to the turnarounds, when I look for the examples, when I start to see, oh, it wasn't them doing that, it was me doing it. There's what I experience as a recognition. It's not like I'm learning something new, it's like I'm recognizing something I've already known. Oh, that was just that fear again. And I'm seeing again that it wasn't really true, that I really was okay. Okay. I'm not really learning a new thing. I'm recognizing there's that old story again, and I can get freedom from it.
Well, and I think that's the important part is like it's the practice of it and it's things that you've done. And I know, like I said, I've known you for 10 years, so the work has definitely been one of my daily tools I use. And because of that, often like it does, I don't even have to go through the work. I just think, oh, I need to do the work right now, and that dissipates whatever's going on. But Paul and I have talked about before, he is certified in this, teaches it, breathes it, lives it, and I don't know for you, but for me, still, even though it's a daily practice, I still get into that stressful thought. And sometimes it takes me a bit before I even, oh, let's do the work on this. Other times the work comes up immediately for me. But it could be 5 minutes after, it could be 10 minutes or a day after whatever that stressful thought was that I then go and do the work on it. It's not always an instantaneous thing when I'm stressed out. Often it's not, but because it's been a daily practice for so long, it does come to me much quicker than it used to.
Yeah, it is a practice, and it is a way of looking at yourself and looking at others and looking at situations and circumstances. And I think what's happening is you're learning a technique that comes back in your memory sooner to do, but you're also learning to trust that innate wisdom within, that
Yeah.
innate peaceful approach. So sometimes it isn't like remembering a particular question and doing a particular technique. It's touching back into, oh, right, this is who I really am. This is my real identity, not the victim of them. And sometimes Katie describes it as like, here comes the stressful thought, and here comes the question, and they just dissolve. And it doesn't take going through, mechanically going through the process of asking all the questions and doing all the turnarounds, finding all the examples in order to find that piece. But that doesn't happen instantly right away. For most,
Right.
it can, but for most of us, it's It's practice. If you think about it, a lot of these stressful thoughts, like let's take the thought that I used earlier, he doesn't care about me, she doesn't care about me, they don't care about me. I might actually find that I first believed that thought when I was 3. And when I discovered a point in time where I was hospitalized when I was about 4 years old. I had to have some surgery. And in those days, parents didn't stay in the hospital with their kids, they left you. And for me, I thought they didn't care about me because
Mm.
they left me all alone in the hospital and left. And so I believed they didn't care about me. Now, I'm, let's put it this way. I won't tell you how old I am, but I've lived with that thought for a lot of years, right? And then it came up in a lot of different circumstances with friends and with romantic partners and with situations in work where I could have that same thought about other people, but it was a similar experience to that little 4-year-old that was left in the hospital by himself. All those years of practicing, they don't care about me. I can't expect I'm going to notice it now, do it one
Right.
worksheet, and I'm going to undo, decades of practice. It takes a while. I'm learning a new way to be with myself. Oh, and actually, having done this work and having done the work, you can go back. I did the work as the 4-year-old in the hospital, and I saw how much my parents did care about me. They took me to the hospital, they got me the surgery. They would have stayed if they could, but in those days they couldn't. And they came right back the next day and got me and took me home. There was 1,000 examples of they
Yeah.
did care about me. And except for my belief that they didn't, they actually did the whole time. But I didn't believe it. So I discovered again, oh, I was actually okay. And not only did they care about me, but there were people in the hospital that cared about me, nurses and doctors and health aides and people bringing me food. There was a lot of things going on that were caring for me, even though I was in this place of suffering. Now, that's not to discount and say, oh, well, you shouldn't have been suffering, because I was suffering. I was believing that. And I have to acknowledge that and have compassion for this 4-year-old that I didn't have any tools to understand. I had a choice of believing it or not. I just believed it. And also to have compassion for my adult self that is sometimes still that 4-year-old who is just believing they don't care about me right now and I'm just suffering with it. Okay, now what do I do with that?
Yeah.
And in the work, what I do with it is I write it down. They don't care about me and take it to the questions. So the other choice is just suffer. And that doesn't work.
No, and that brought up a good question for me as far as going back to that 4-year-old experience and doing the work on it, being something that can have such heaviness attached to it. Is it something like you do the work on it? That doesn't mean it's that stressful thought is gone forever. It may still come back and need to be inquired upon again, correct?
Sure. It could come up and sometimes I would get frustrated because it would come up again and I would think, well,
Yeah.
heck, I did the work on it, it should be gone. Well, there may be different layers that I can
Okay, that makes
get
sense.
of through that belief system that I have. There's the layer of, for the 4-year-old, the layer of being angry at my parents. And there's the layer of feeling like there's something wrong with me. And each of those got played out a little bit differently when it came up again in other aspects of my life. But the way I look at it is I'm trying to heal this trauma, right?
Right.
So the way I heal that is not to ignore it or to pretend that the suffering doesn't exist or the fear doesn't exist or the upset that I was felt abandoned, to pretend it doesn't exist, but to actually embrace that. And that's what why I love embrace your life, like embrace the fear,
Hmm.
the upset here. So Katie says these stressful thoughts are like um, little children that want to be heard. They have a story to tell and they want to be heard. And they keep coming up again and again in our life until we are willing to actually sit down and listen to them. Now, what
Yeah.
does that mean? That means, to me, in the work, what that means is they didn't care about me. Okay, tell me your story. Is that story true? Yes or no? Can I really know that story is true? Look at how I reacted. I get upset. Tell me about that. Tell me, 4 year old, about what you were experiencing, how it felt. Tell me that story. In question 3, how did you suffer? And go through it and let that live. That's listening to that story. Now I get to question 4. Okay, little one, go back into that hospital bed. Now, if you're just there and you're with your little toy boat that they left with you to play with, and you have that little boat to play with, and you're just in that bed, who would you be in that bed without the belief they don't care about you? It's warm, got a comfortable bed, I got people bringing me food, I got my boat, I'm okay. Without the belief that they did something to me, that they attacked me in some way, left me in some way, I was actually fine. Can I experience that too? And then find the turnarounds. I did how I was not caring about me in that bed. I wasn't. I was beating myself up, victimizing myself. And I didn't care about them. I was yelling at them and screaming at them in my mind, blaming them for my suffering that I was causing in my bed. And they did care about me. They took me to the hospital. They got me the doctors. They got me the surgery. They came back as soon as they could in the morning. They would have stated they could. In fact, what I saw was in those days, they just had a little window in the door
Hmm.
and I could just see my parents' face in that window. And when I really revisited this again, I saw how painful it was for them to leave me, how much they were suffering to leave me because they cared about me so much,
Yeah.
that they loved me that much that they were upset to be leaving. And discovering that helps heal the wound. But what I'm really doing is listening to that little child that believed they didn't care about me. And I can do that whether it happened 50 years ago or it happened 5 minutes ago, whether it happened at my workplace last week or something that took place in my family of origin. I go to that place and time. I identify what I was believing in that place and time. And I inquire, write it down. I ask the questions, I turn it around. And when I'm answering the questions, I'm answering it out of that place and time.
Yeah.
Not, oh, I'm okay now. And so I can see that wasn't a problem. No, I'm going back to the suffering I had in the office last week,
To the emotion of it.
the emotion of it. What was the emotions? How was I treating myself? Them? What was I feeling physically? You know, was I tense? Did I have an upset stomach? Was my heart rate different? I'm really looking at the body. The body doesn't know the difference of whether it's really happening or I believe it's happening. It reacts. And so I'm looking at that in question 3 and then discovering what would life be like without that thought. Like if you didn't believe anything, what would your life be like? If you didn't believe anything, that could be an interesting investigation. It sort of is a challenging idea. How can I not believe anything?
I was just thinking that when you said that, I'm like, I'm going to need to inquire on that one for a while.
Well, here's a glimpse of it. And for those of you listening, just tap into a time when you're doing something that you really totally love and totally get absorbed in. It could be cooking, it could be going for a run, it could be flying a kite, something that just doing some artwork, something creative, music, dance, um, any of these kinds of things. Who are you in that moment? You're not believing anything in that moment. You're just doing, you're in it. You're in, sometimes athletes talk about being in the flow, or, artists may talk about that. Musicians may talk about that. Who would I be without all of these thoughts interfering? That's it. That gives you a glimpse of it. And question 4, who would I be without that thought? Often gives us a glimpse of that. Who would I be without the thought they don't care about me? Actually, fine. In this moment, what's wrong?
And I think the key to that is this moment, because we often go into, well, this afternoon I've got something really awful coming up, or yesterday was really bad. But
And
in
notice,
this moment is,
and yeah, notice all of those are thoughts.
yeah,
And a thought is 99% of the time about something in the future or something in the past. And it takes us out of this present moment when actually in this moment isn't everything actually okay? And isn't that true in every other moment? In that moment, find a moment in time where it wasn't true. And you'll go to something in the past or an imagined future where you're believing something is wrong, something isn't okay. What is that? Well, I remember when I was in that situation and blank, what? And you write that down. That was your belief in that moment. There's something wrong. What? Because if you're going to embrace your life, you can only embrace it in this moment. You cannot embrace it tomorrow's moment. It doesn't exist yet. And you can't embrace it in the past either. That doesn't exist either. You have a memory of it or you have an imagination of it. But if you're going to embrace it, it's now.
embrace the now.
Embrace the now. Or not.
or,
And
or,
if you're
or
not,
not.
and if you're not, then really the inquiry will bring you back to the now ultimately.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was just going to say we have lots of people, and one of the things I love most about this community is people from all over the world are here. So we've had South Africa in the house, Texas is in the house. I
Awesome.
I am not sure. I'm I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Naria, where Lesotho is. So I would love to know that if you are still on. I will go Google it after if you're not still on. But India is in the house. Minnesota is in the house.
Ireland.
Ireland. Lots of people here, Wisconsin. And as I've said often, I don't always see all of the comments live, but I do go back later in the day and look. So if I've missed anybody, welcome and thank you for being here. Paul, of course, thank you for being here. Tomorrow, I will be talking about self love. And then on Thursday, I have a guest, Shauna, who is another. I have two guests who are with me monthly. Paul and Shauna are always here monthly, and she is an animal communicator. So she helps release those stressful thoughts that we might have about our pets that we can't communicate with, but she can. So whether they are living or a pet that has gone across the rainbow bridge, she's able to bring some peace to you on those thoughts. And she's just a lovely person. She actually may be with me tomorrow talking about self love as well. So thank you, Paul. I appreciate you. Grateful for our time and grateful for the work. It is definitely one of my go-tos to release stressful thoughts. And as I've told Paul many times, there's sometimes I don't want to release it yet. I want to be in that
Okay.
state of frustration or whatever. And in my head, I'm like, the work, the work, the work. I'm like, no, not yet. So it's always, I just said the word always, which I'm not a big fan of. It's an option to release those stressful thoughts or to live within them. It's what you need to do in that moment. But I thank you, Paul, for being here. I
Sure.
think
Thanks, Carol.
yeah, I thank everyone else for joining us. Again, I'll be back tomorrow, 11:30 Chicago time. I'm here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays to help heighten your celebrations and lessen your sorrows through a positive focus. Until then, take care of yourselves and remember you matter. You matter to me, you matter to the world, and most importantly, you matter to you. We'll talk soon. So long for now.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.